The tale of the 12 labors is fundamentally one of atonement. Hercules, the mightiest of all Greek heroes, was the son of Zeus and the mortal Alchemy, a lineage that earned him the vengeful hatred of Hera, Zeus's queen. In a fit of madness sent by the goddess, Hercules turned his godlike strength against his own family, murdering his wife Megara and their children. When the curse lifted and he saw the horror he had wrought, he was shattered. Seeking purification, he traveled to the oracle at Delphi, who decreed his penance. He must enter the service of his weak and cowardly cousin, King Eurystheus of Tyrans, for 12 years and perform any 10 tasks the king set. Eurystheus, advised by Hera, devised labors so impossible they were meant to be death sentences. When Heracles succeeded at 2 with what the king deemed help, 2 more were added, creating the famous 12. His first task was to kill the Nemean Lion, a beast with skin impervious to all weapons. Heracles' arrows bounced harmlessly off its hide. Realizing force alone wouldn't work, he used his wits, chasing the lion into its 2-mouthed cave, blocking one entrance and entering the other. In the dark confines, he wrestled the beast and finally strangled it with his bare, mighty arms. Using the lion's own razor-sharp claws, the only thing that could cut its hide, he skinned it and forever after wore the pelt as his iconic armor. Next, he was sent to slay the Lernaean Hydra, a venomous water serpent with 9 heads that regrew 2 for every one cut off and 1 immortal head. With his nephew Iolaus as his charioteer, Heracles attacked. He would smash or sever a head, and Iolaus would instantly cauterize the stump with a burning torch to stop the regrowth. For the immortal head, he cut it off and buried it under a massive rock. He then dipped his arrows in the Hydra's poisonous blood, creating weapons of fatal potency. Eurystheus, however, declared this labor invalid because Heracles had accepted Iolaus's deed. The third labor was a hunt, not a kill. Heracles was to capture the Nemean Hind, a breathtakingly swift deer with golden antlers and bronze hooves, sacred to the goddess Artemis. He pursued it for an entire year across all of Greece, finally capturing it gently with a net, or in some tellings, by pinning its legs together with an arrow as it slept, taking care not to spill a drop of its sacred blood. On his return, he encountered Artemis and Apollo. He explained his compelled task and promised the hind's safe return. The goddess relented, and after showing the creature to a terrified Eurystheus, Heracles set it free. His fourth task was to bring back the Erymanthian boar alive. On his journey to find it, he had a fateful meeting with the centaurs. At the cave of the friendly centaur Pholus, Heracles opened a jar of wine, its scent driving the wild centaurs into a frenzy. In the battle that ensued, Heracles accidentally struck his old friend, the wise centaur Chiron, with a poisoned arrow. The wound caused unending agony, though Chiron, immortal, would later give up his immortality to free Prometheus. Grieving, Heracles completed his labor by chasing the boar into deep snow, where it exhausted itself. He captured it, carried it struggling on his shoulders back to Tyrans, and hurled it at the feet of Eurystheus, who shrieked and hid in his now famous bronze storage jar. The fifth labor was one of humiliation, to clean the immense stables of King Augean, which housed thousands of cattle and had not been cleaned in 30 years. Seeing an opportunity, Heracles struck a bargain. He would do it in a single day for 1/10 of the king's cattle. Confident it was impossible, Augean agreed. Heracles, again using his mind, diverted the courses of 2 nearby rivers, the Alpheus and Peneus, so they flooded through the stables, washing away decades of filth in hours. When Augean learned Heracles was acting under orders, he refused payment.
Heracles later returned for vengeance, and Eurystheus again disqualified the labor due to the attempted bargain.
For the sixth labor, Heracles had to drive away the monstrous Stymphalian birds, man-eating creatures with metallic feathers they could launch like arrows, who inhabited a toxic swamp. Unable to wade in, he was given a pair of bronze crotala, clappers, by the goddess Athena. Clashing them from a mountainside, he created a deafening noise that startled the entire flock into the air. As they took flight, he shot many down with his poisoned arrows. The rest fled in terror, never to return. The seventh task sent him across the sea to Crete to capture the Cretan bull, a magnificent and maddened beast once sent by Poseidon. This bull was the father of the Minotaur. Heracles wrestled the fire-breathing creature into submission, sailed back to Greece riding it across the waves, and presented it to Eurystheus, who simply set it free to later plague the lands around Marathon. The eighth labor revealed true horror: to steal the man-eating mares of the Thracian king Diomedes. These 4 mares were fed on the flesh of strangers. Heracles and his men stole the horses, but were attacked by Diomedes and his army. In the battle, Heracles killed Diomedes and, in a grim act of poetic justice, fed the king's body to his own mares. The horses, now calm and satiated, became tame. Heracles led them back successfully, his penance taking him to ever darker places. The ninth task was a quest for an object of desire, the beautiful girdle of Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. Heracles sailed to the land of the fierce warrior women. Impressed by his fame, Hippolyta agreed to give him the belt freely, but Hera, ever intervening, disguised herself as an Amazon and spread a rumor that Heracles had come to kidnap their queen. The warriors attacked. Believing he had been betrayed, Heracles fought back, killed Hippolyta, seized the girdle, and escaped after a fierce battle. The 10th labor pushed him to the edge of the world to steal the cattle of the monster Geryon, a giant with 3 bodies joined at the waist, who lived on the island of Erythia in the far west. Heracles killed Geryon's 2-headed dog, Orthrus, his herdsman, and finally Geryon himself with a single arrow that pierced all 3 bodies. The journey home with the cattle was an epic of its own, facing thieves, giants, and a gadfly sent by Hera to scatter the herd, which Heracles patiently regathered. The penultimate labor was a quest for a divine treasure, the golden apples of the Hesperides, a wedding gift from Gaia to Hera. They were guarded by a 100-headed dragon and nymphs in a remote garden whose location was unknown. Heracles' path was indirect. He sought out the Titan Atlas, who held up the heavens. Heracles offered to take the celestial burden if Atlas would retrieve the apples. Atlas agreed, delighted at the prospect of permanent freedom. When he returned with the fruit, however, he refused to take the sky back. Heracles pretended to agree, but asked Atlas to hold it for just a moment so he could adjust his cloak for comfort. The moment Atlas resumed the weight, Heracles took the apples and left. The final labor was the most daunting: to descend into the underworld itself and bring back Cerberus, the 3-headed hound of Hades, guardian of the dead. Guided by Hermes, Heracles walked among shades, freed the hero Theseus from torment, and stood before Hades. The god of the dead consented on one condition: no weapons. In the ultimate test of raw strength, Heracles wrestled the monstrous dog, choking it into submission. He dragged the subdued beast to the surface, presented the hellhound to an utterly terrified Eurystheus, who once again hid in his jar, and then, duty fulfilled, returned Cerberus to its rightful master in the realm of shadows. With the 12th labor complete, Heracles' penance was fulfilled. He had atoned for his crime through unimaginable effort, cleansing the world of terrors and proving that even from the deepest guilt, redemption is earned through endurance, courage, and an unbreakable will. His path to immortality was now clear, his mortal labors complete, his name forever etched as the greatest of heroes.